and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Joe from Startuprad.io, your startup podcast and YouTube blog, bringing you an English world premiere together with Elias from, we just sorted this out, Dianovi here from lovely Hessen. And this interview is, as always, supported by Hessen Trade and Invest. More about them later. Elias, glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
As people know, your LinkedIn profile will be linked down here in the show notes in the blog. I've seen you worked with pretty well-known names like Arthur D. Little in consulting. You've been working with Bosch, but can you share a little bit about your background? What you done? Introduce yourself just a little bit before founding Dianovi.
Yeah, sure. So, as you already mentioned, I live in Hessen, in Darmstadt, to be exact. I did my bachelor and then also my master here at TU Darmstadt. I studied industrial engineering with the focus already on innovation and entrepreneurship. And then when I've done my exchange semester in Finland, in Helsinki, I started to shift the focus more and more towards starting a company. But as you said, before, during my studies, I also worked in consulting, tried to get an overview of a very different kind of industry to see what interests me most, and also tried to, let's say, more corporate world with Bosch. But I also worked in a startup already, Quanticore, you mentioned already. So, these were basically my professional career stations so far.
A question about the Aalto University in Finland. I assume because you've been there from August to December, and I assume in December you had to wear pretty warm socks there, right?
That's actually true, yeah. And I also didn't have that much light. That was the other thing.
How good is your Finnish?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think I tried it maybe for 3 lessons or something. And then I basically gave up because it's a really hard language, to be honest. And I'm more of a numbers guy than a language guy. So focused more on this part.
Okay, what inspired you to transition from your previous roles at starting your own venture?
So we basically started the startup out of university. So we did a lot of research in this field, AI in medicine in general, especially my co-founders Niels and Niklas. And as we not only wanted to deliver like a theoretical value, but also transfer it to the practical world, we said that we wanted to found a startup, and we all know each other since a really young age. So for me, it was quite clear already during the beginning of my master that we wanted to do this. And even though I still went into these other fields like strategy consulting to gain experience that would then help me with finding a startup.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any pivotal experiences or like mentors that shaped your entrepreneurial journey?
I wouldn't say that there's necessarily one person in particular, but rather many people that kind of inspired me or were there for great sparring. So starting in Finland, when I had teachers that brought me closer to this entrepreneurship area, but then also people I've worked with, especially in consulting, there were a lot of people that taught me a lot when it comes to soft skills, but also finding one's own way. And also then that's always super valuable. Other startup founders, they most likely will, you will find someone that had the same problem already, but it's not one specific person for me.
Mm-hmm. I see. What unique skills or perspectives from your past have proven most valuable in building Genovi?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd say it definitely helps if you don't mind working a lot. Nah, joking. I mean, this is definitely a thing, but I would say it will come from alone if you're passionate about something. But other than this, no, I think kind of acquiring a structured way of working is super important, as you have so many different topics coming to your table, and maintaining an overview, not getting overwhelmed sometimes, and then prioritizing, I would say this is key. And this is something where a structured way of working definitely helps, and where my time in consulting again helped a lot, I'd say, because this is when I started to kind of get to know this way of working. Because in general, I did a lot of I did many things in parallel, so that was kind of necessary then, and it still helps me. And other than this, maybe naivety, because otherwise, I don't think we would be there where we are right now if we would have approached everything too rationally, to be honest. So many people say it's resilience that is super important, and I agree. But for me, resilience is kind of positively framed, and I think there's also this part of naivety that is rather a thing that you can't really control, but still helps a lot if you have this kind of character trait.
I actually do believe it's one of the few essential pillars of entrepreneurship to be really, really structured. That helps you out a lot, because you get thrown things to your head, like from your competition, most of the time from your clients, from your investors, from the authorities, maybe tax or other regulations, and you always have to put it into a structured way to see what are the priorities, how can you work through it. Plus, you're also, for me personally, not only a to-do list did the trick, but when I kind of transponded the to-do list to times assigned to do my to-dos on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis on my calendar. That was like the most important step for me to get Startuprad.io off the ground.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think you can perfectly relate to this as you have different projects going on. So yeah, 100% agree.
Let's talk about your startup idea. What problem are you trying to solve when you started Dianovi, and how did you identify this opportunity?
Yeah. So the problem we're addressing is basically that in the emergency room, so that's where we operate, or our software operates. In the emergency room, there you have basically two worlds that collide. So on the one side, you have really young, inexperienced junior doctors that have to work with complex cases from all kinds of background and disciplines. And in this stressful setting of the emergency room, that means it really creates a fertile ground for mistakes, so to say. And then in numbers, that means millions of error diagnoses and false treatments that we have in Germany alone every year. And then, of course, this leads also to high costs for the hospitals, but also for the healthcare system in general. And here we're talking about billions in costs then. And as already touched before, the basic idea of delivering value to the healthcare system by utilizing the technological knowledge we had, that this came up during university or during our studies, and then we started talking to many stakeholders, so hospitals, physicians, insurance companies. So the idea got more and more concrete. And from beginning on, actually, we worked super close with hospitals, and they helped a lot with the product development and also already in the ideation phase. And that's how Dianovi basically was created then.
Mm-hmm. Also, in an emergency room, talking here about an EMT with several years of experience, you always have the problem that you have incomplete data. So you don't know from the blood type of the patient to their story, medications, allergies, whatever important stuff that you don't have. And as you said, even if the doctor is very experienced, they cannot foresee everything. So there's a lot of information you need at very short notice there. Was this your original idea, or did it evolve over time?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. It evolved. It definitely evolved. So we started more, and that's also why we changed our name at some point. So we started more as a symptom checker, basically. So we tried to, yeah, prevent people going to the emergency room when they had, let's say, minor issues, because that's a big thing as well, that we have overcrowding in the emergency rooms, and there would be also alternative treatment options. And we first focused more on this kind of problem, and then out of several reasons, we pivoted and focused more on the professional side. So really helping the physician and providing them with support during their daily work. And yeah, this was basically how we evolved from more patient centric software to a more physician centric software, I'd say.
Ah, I see, see. Can you like wrap up in like one sentence what's your final goal, your mission, your vision for Dianovi? And by the way, how did you come up with the name? It sounds like more like an Italian food brand. To me, at least. Sorry.
Okay. That's funny. I never heard this, but yeah, good point. I see it. Now, actually, we changed the name because of a lot of feedback from customers and other people, because they were kind of confused when we still had the name My Sympto. So this was the name before, which kind of obviously relates to a symptom checker. They started asking, "You're not a symptom checker, so why would you use that name?" And then we decided during the incorporation that we will change the name to Dianovi, which is basically a composition of the word diagnosis and the word novum, and yeah, basically reflects our vision of enabling the best medical care possible by utilizing technological progress we see, especially with AI, which is core for our software. And yeah, as said, we're trying to enable physicians to really deliver the best treatment possible by giving them personalized decision support and the power of the modern technology, data analytics, basically.
I see. Let me take a little second to thank our sponsor. Our enabler today is Hessen Trade Invest and the Enterprise Europe Network Hessen. This recording was made possible by HTAI and the Enterprise Europe Network Hessen. These organizations have made tremendous contribution to helping startup businesses succeed and thrive, providing a range of services from helping to find grants to ongoing partnerships. By taking advantage of these resources, startup companies can network and develop innovative strategies for success on the international stage. The dedicated support of HTAI and the Enterprise Europe Network Hessen is paramount in providing startup businesses with the tools for lasting success. You can learn more at htai.de, EN Hessen, and on our sub podcast together with them, Tech Startups Germany. Whew. That out of the way, let's talk about Dianovi, about the startup itself. So can you get a little bit more specific how your tool is used, where it is today, and then we're talking a little bit about KPIs, clients, USPs, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, so you basically can think of Dianovi as a digital assistant to the physician working in the emergency room. So it's a software running on their whatever device they would have, and basically accompanies them throughout the whole process where the patient is in the emergency room. So it helps them to make the right decisions from a medical perspective. So, for example, what is the most likely diagnose? Which treatments should I do as a doctor to find out or to figure out which diagnose is the most likely one? And then also how to pursue with the patient. And then, so this is basically the medical side, and then also from an economic perspective, as hospitals do have this reimbursement system in the emergency room, and we help the hospital to get the most out of this reimbursement as well, because this was a thing that basically a lot of decision support tools neglect when providing decision support. It's mostly medical, and we combine it because this makes it basically a no-brainer for hospitals to adapt the software also from an economic perspective then.
I see. Plus, a very likely limitation of liability, other potential liabilities, because otherwise, the insurance companies would not back it. From my understanding, I see. Smart thing. We're talking on Startup Radio a lot about success. What KPI, what measures do you use to define success for you as a startup?
Yeah. As I'd say that we're still quite in an early phase. So we finished our pilot projects last year, and so 2 months ago basically, and we'll launch the software in a couple of weeks. From a commercial point of view, it's all about the customer. So we have a great sales pipeline, and now we're converting them one by one, and also got the first written agreements, which basically is the main KPI for us right now. And then we also looked at the sales cycles don't get too long, because this is something that is sometimes kind of challenging with hospitals. So we try to reduce these sales cycles to a minimum. And then of course we have a lot of software development KPIs to ensure stable operations and safe development, which is quite important in our field.
Yeah, I would assume so. By the way, when you talked about on whatever device the physician uses, what came to my mind right from the start was something like a tablet. Is this the primary device they are using your software on?
Yes and no, depends a bit on the hospital. So some are super great in digitization, others lag behind really, really far. So you will find every different setup possible, but most of the time it's a computer in the room, and then you also have the more digitized ones where they use tablets. But actually, for us or for the software, it doesn't matter. We would run on all these devices.
Mm-hmm. I see. And could you also like share? Is it seamless that the physician could access from the computer in the emergency room, and then later, when the patient is in the bed, visit the bed with the tablet? Does it work like that?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a really good and important question for us, because this seamless integration, also the integration with other software solutions already in the hospital, it's super important for the actual adoption of the software.
Mm-hmm. Yes, has to be. You said last year, we're talking late 2024, if I'm not wrong, you achieved a milestone finishing the pilot projects, as you already said. You already signed how many contracts?
So right now we have 3 written agreements, and the fourth is coming right now. So yeah, as I said, day by day we try to onboard more hospitals. So the pipeline gets bigger and bigger, and we have to start like getting them or converting them into actually paying customers.
I see. That's pretty good. I think most of my question now we already discussed. So, your primary customer are the hospitals because they can increase revenue and increase safety with your software. For the emergency room, I was wondering, your primary clients are the hospitals, or are you in closer with insurance companies that then volunteer the hospitals to use your software?
It's definitely the hospitals, but insurance companies will maybe get more important in the future. But usually in the healthcare system, it makes sense to first have couple of customers, in our case hospitals, that where you can show what the solution is capable of, and then again approach the insurance companies. And then we also have another important stakeholder for us, which are these other software providers that already have their solutions in the hospitals. And when we partner with them, because we need this from a technical perspective anyways, then we also get access to their existing hospital network. So those are important partners for us as well.
I see. So very interesting construction there. You kind of hinted already at it. So there are other emergency room softwares out there, but my understanding is your USP right now that is working is basically that you tell the hospitals and the insurance companies, we're not only here to limit your liability to get better treatment for the patients, we are also here to help you maximize revenue on this, like bill all the stuff you're actually doing. We may tell the audience out there that there has been a dying of hospitals here in Germany due to insufficient revenue, a lot of insolvencies, including a hospital here not far from me. They keep operating, but the funding of hospitals is right now a pretty hot topic in Germany, especially like the smaller ones, in the smaller places where you would need to try for quite some time until you get to bigger, better funded hospital.
Yeah, that's definitely correct, and that's exactly why we're doing this, to support from medical and economic perspective. Because of course, every hospital would want to improve their medical performance and their treatments for the patient, but at some point they are limited because of their financial resources. And as you said, if they have an incentive to buy your solution, also from an economic perspective, then it gets a no-brainer. You increase quality and you increase revenue. Why wouldn't you do it? So yeah, that's it. That's exactly what we're targeting at.
In terms of the Abrechnungssystem, so the billing system of the hospital, I've heard it can be quite a bit complicated and arcane. Is that true? And how did you get like through all the stuff there?
Yeah, that's that's a huge thing, and it's really specific and also kind of strange. And you can talk to many people that work inside this area for quite some time, and you will still find parts where not everybody knows what's happening actually. So it's really complicated, and it also took us quite a while to understand how this basically works. We did a lot of talking with different people. So as already said in the beginning, it helps a lot if you talk to different stakeholders, meaning hospitals, meaning insurance companies, meaning the reimbursement companies, meaning people that consult these companies and hospitals. So to get different viewpoints on this, to understand these reimbursement processes. And yeah, that's basically how we did it. You can of course also look out for webinars and stuff like this. We still do it because there's also a lot of changes going on, and politics tries to change quite some things also. So it's always important to stay up to date on this topic as well.
Where we may also add for our audience that we currently in an election cycle. Less than a month from today, there will be new elections. There will be, as it looks right now, a new government. There will be new policies, which may or may not hit you in 2025, but 26, 27 for sure, because there'll be some areas where they need to fix the healthcare system. Are you actually kind of actively looking at the policies the different parties have?
Yeah, I mean, definitely also from a private perspective, I do. But yeah, then also when it comes to the company, of course, it's interesting, but it's also, of course, they have their ideas of how to do the healthcare system or maybe how to restructure it. But in the end, we will have to see what really happens, and it will always takes such a long time. So we don't really try to estimate what will happen and already adapt. We will do what we're doing right now and focus on where we're strong at, and then we'll see what changes. We definitely have our eyes on this, so we don't get overwhelmed by it or something. But it will, and I'm pretty sure about this, it will take quite some time till changes will be implemented. But yeah, we're cautious because it's not to neglect.
Mm-hmm. For everybody who's listening to this on the day of publication, by the way, go out and vote. And also for all the people who forgot it, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Still time to get some flowers. So had to get this out, even though 1/3 of our audience is women. I'm not sure what the usual present for women on Valentine's Day is supposed to be, but that's a completely different topic. Let's do a little bit of an ad break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the outlook, funding, growth, and talent perspective. Welcome back to our interview with Elias from Dianovi. We are here in an interview supported by Hessen Trade and Invest, and we are in the last third of our interview here. I'm talking now a little bit outlook with Elias, the co-founder of Dianovi. Always there's a question on venture capital when we are at this stage. Are you currently raising or planning to raise funding? And what's your primary focus for the investment?
So right now we just closed a convertible loan with a couple of investors. So that's what we've done recently, but we're definitely looking to raise soon again. As we have this growth and we need to get this funded somehow. So we're always open to have these conversations, build up relationships, and then in a couple of months raise the next round.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about a couple of months. What are the expectations for Dianovi in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah. So basically, as we said, we're entering the market right now from a commercial perspective. So establish ourselves in the emergency room. The emergency room won't be the end of the road for us, that's for sure. But I think for the next 12 months, it's fair to say that we want to ensure a successful utilization then also of the software, and then see if our thesis hold ground. And then, as I said, the emergency room won't be the end of the road for us. So we will ship more features and look to also expand maybe to the outpatient sector.
Mm-hmm. Are you actively hiring, or you're planning to hire? I mean, you just closed a convertible note. You did some fundraising. Congratulations, by the way. Can you give us a rough idea of how much you raised?
I can't name the exact number because it's also not like all over yet. But we will be below the 500,000 somewhere there. And yes, with this money, we are actively hiring right now, and this will also not change probably for the next couple of months, as we need to get the personal resources for, watch out, buzzword, scale the software and scale the company. So for the next month, you can expect us to hire a couple of more people, especially from a technical part, the software developers. We're growing the team now there, especially in this area.
For everybody who'd like to learn more, we'll also link the career website of you guys down here in the show notes. So you already did some startup buzzword bingo. We checked the scaling. How do you plan to scale and kind of adapt? We just talked about the upcoming election, the changes of policies. How do you keep track of that, and how you're looking to manage all of that?
Yeah. So for now, and maybe the important thing for us is the technological perspective as well. There's a lot of happening there as well. You can read the new AI news basically every day or twice a day. And so we will still try to continuously improve our models, utilize the newest advancement, and see that we can utilize also the data that are generated then through our software. And then, as you mentioned, also the more policies that come, and the regulatory field, which is super important in healthcare. Also there, we will stay ahead of these changes there. And then, of course, the customers, put them in the center. They are the most important ones for us. See how the hospitals and their processes change, because there will be changes also again due to the government, and then see how we can best support the physicians working there under these circumstances.
I see. So, you already hinted at incorporating AI into your tool. I hope you've seen the episode we had on the AI Act here. I have two final questions. So the first final question is, what is your long-term vision for the startup, and what impact do you hope to make on the industry?
Yeah. So as I said, the end of the journey isn't there with the emergency room. We will explore further areas. So long-term vision really means that we provide this decision support not only for physicians in the emergency room, but then also for physicians in the outpatient area, and also in other parts of the hospital. So the software basically provides a comprehensive solution that transforms the complex healthcare data into concrete, actionable insights, and that's something you don't only need in the emergency room, but everywhere in healthcare. So the focus is on really gaining a deep understanding of patient care, and then pave the way for personalized medicine, because that's what we are actually doing, and that's then basically also the impact. So of course we want to see less mistakes made, and then also better access to healthcare. As you mentioned already, hospitals are shutting down, especially on the more rural side, and we want to still have patients having a great access to healthcare, which also comes with digital solutions, we guess, at least.
I see. By the way, buzzword check for actionable insights. And the final question, because this is from Hessen Trade and Invest sponsored. You have now the unique opportunity to address the decision maker in the States and ask for improvement, give some praise, and something you always want to address to them.
Yeah. So if I would have one wish as well, then this would definitely go to the regulatory side, because I understand, and everybody understands, that it's an important topic, especially when you operate with sensible data and everything. But sometimes it's really annoying how long processes take, and it's especially for startups that, or the advantage is that they can operate quite fast, and then you have these super long regulatory cycles and processes that kind of slow you down. So this is not optimal, and I know it's hard, but maybe there could be a bit of an improvement, which then would also come from a more political side. But we also have to definitely thank them a lot, Hessen Trade and Invest. We got a great network here in Hessen. We always have great support when it comes to any topics. We can ask for contacts. Might be from a regulatory point, might be from a financing point, might be from the incorporation. We got a lot of help there as well. So there's definitely a strong network and strong support for startups here in Hessen.
Great. I also want to slide in at the very end. I was actually sitting in the audience when at the federal government Digitalgipfel late last year, you won a founding award for startups handed out here by the federal government. Congratulations to that. And I think that's a really nice closing message here, right?
Thanks a lot. Yeah, we were really proud of winning this. And as you mentioned, this is not a bad title to receive, definitely.
Great. Elias, thank you very much. Hope to have you back in a few years talking about your successes there.
I hope so too. Thanks for having me, Joe.
It was my pleasure. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.